Ladies and gentlemen, evening and welcome to your favorite English news program that I have the honor to present today with Mr. Patrice Owouko. Mr. Owouko, you're welcome.
Thanks so much, Mr. Alex.
Can you please introduce yourself to the viewers?
It is a pleasure. I'm a professional, now completing a DBA, the executive DBA of the Paris School of Business, and with some background as well in university teaching and researching.
Okay. Mr. Owouko, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks.
With Mr. Owouko, we are going to discuss issues on Vision 2030, a vision that is being brought about by the Togolese Ministry of Future Prospects. But before coming back to him, let's have a brief summary of activities undertaken by the Prime Minister and key members of the Togolese government during this week. Workers' syndicates of Togo met on Wednesday with the Togolese Prime Minister Hukporti. Discussions during this encounter centered around the well-being of Togolese workers who see their benefits being held by the governmental reforms called for a 48-hour strike. These talks, held in presence of concerned ministers of the government, went smoothly with decisions to organize future roundtables to ponder over and examine the issue related to workers' salaries, increments, and collateral benefits related again to the civil service in Togo. 2015 is a decisive year on the political agenda of Togo. The Prime Minister this week met at his office with actors involved in the organization of the forthcoming presidential election to be held within the month of March 2015. This follow-up committee meeting, attended by various protagonists of the electoral process in Togo, examined the pros and cons of the preparations done by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). It was an opportunity given them to bring out their views, tackle difficulties in order to improve the process to better support the Independent Electoral Commission of Togo for the smooth electoral process. Still within the areas of activities undertaken by the Togolese Prime Minister Arten Seriagodi Aoumezunu, a special square was inaugurated in Lomé. An inaugural ceremony presided over by the Prime Minister himself. It was the European Union Square. Workers of the home representation of the European Union were present at this inaugural ceremony. They arranged the square, cleared bushes, and made it neat. The Prime Minister seized the opportunity to thank EU workers and their representatives for the initiative. Well, now you back to studio with Mr. Patrice Owouko. With Mr. Patrice Owouko, we are going to talk about vision. What is a vision? Who can have a vision? And what can we expect from a vision? Mr. Patrice Owouko, once again, welcome to our studios here at the National Television.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Hukporti.
Well, right away, we are going to talk about Vision 2030, which is a governmental project being carried out by the Ministry of Future Prospects. So, Mr. Owouko, straight away, what can you tell us about a vision? What is a vision?
To put it simply, vision is a very important component of leadership. If I'm to define leadership, I would just suggest a simple model again, which is called the 4 E's. To be a leader, you have to envision a certain future, a desired future that you would like to attain through a certain horizon. And the first E is to envision something. You have to define a desired future. Then you have followers as well that would like to share the vision with you and carry it on so that it can be realized. So when you envision a certain future, you now have to enable it, to give the means and tools to achieve that vision that you have. So when you have the vision, you have to empower your followers, you have to empower people as well. And to empower someone is to give them the ways to decide themselves to carry on those objectives. And lastly, you have to be able to energize them. So it is a rolling up process. It is a rolling process to envision, to enable, to empower, to energize. So it is a very, very important part of leadership to have a vision. Otherwise, just lead us through and on, and we will have no direction.
So just talk about empowering, energizing, so that this vision could be a motion run. It can move. Now, what can the people at the basic level, at the base or the pyramid, do in order to really cope with this visionary projects or this vision that you can have?
As has said in the past, this American President JFK, Mr. Kennedy, was taught his people that don't wait for your country to do something for you, but you have to think of what you can do to your country to help. So this is at the grassroots. Everyone has to be part of being able to suggest something. So what I've seen on the website Togo Vision 2030 is just like a participative approach. It's like the ministry is there, but they are now asking people to contribute on the website. What are those ideas they would like to suggest in to make it happen? So it's just like the government has just talked the walk. Now we have to find out ways to walk the talk. So that we all, as the citizens of this country, provide means of the country. There are two things. At the end, the bottom end line is social welfare for the people in the country, and economic development as well. So now we are now thinking. I think this is the brainstorming step. We have to put in all those ideas to say this is what we want to do. But I am proud and can see that for the first time we have talked the way, and we now have to walk the talk.
So now that you've talked about the website, let me really brief viewers on this website. The Ministry of Future Prospects inaugurated its website this week. If you can have the images, the website was inaugurated this week. A website that will carry across information on the Vision 2030 and projects embedded in it for the future development of Togo. Ministers from all departments were present to witness this launching ceremony geared towards the theme situating IT within the framework of Vision 2030. Well, Mr. Owouko, this is what really happened. The website was launched, and now most of our populations of people who would like to know more about this Vision 2030 can just go on this website, visit the links, and see what exactly the government or the country has got for its citizens. So what do you have to tell about this website as someone who has gone through the website, read the various articles, the various themes that were developed within this website? What can you tell us about it?
Thanks a lot, Mr. Hukporti. I've seen 4 specific pillars for what is the Togo Vision 2030 is. The first pillar is the socio-cultural aspect. How do we capitalize on our cultural differences to make a sense of being citizens of the same country? So we have, I think, 40 ethnic groups in Togo with peculiarities. But the one thing that we have to do through this Vision 2030 is how do we factor in all those cultural differences to say that we are proud to be citizens of the same country. The second pillar is politics and governance. I will just focus on governance. Governance is something that all the countries in the world at this specific time can say that they have to focus on. Good governance. I won't capitalize so much on it. I won't discuss that so much. And the third pillar is politics and demographics and sustainable development. And this is very important. When you have to take a step to develop a country, you have to use those tools of economics, such as a science of allocation of resources, scarce resources. So when you are trying to walk the talk to attain those goals you are trying to attain within the next 15 years, you have to factor in future generations. Development has to endure. It has to be sustainable.
Yeah.
We don't have to deplete all the resources we have today so that future generations start to suffer. If you can look at what is now being done in Togo, those infrastructure being built, they are not built only for the generations today, they are also for the coming future generations as well. So those roads, we have to maintain them so that our people in the villages can be able to come to this country, and also we have to attract investors as well, so that someone who is going to set up a business in Tapao or Sinkase will be able to come back to Lomé to just provide for supplies, etc. So you have to move from one part to the other very swiftly. And the last one is economics and technology.
Yeah.
Without adequate innovation and technology, there won't be any development. So what I would suggest on this point is helping our universities, just like maybe in the future people, the Togo will create a technological university, science and technology university, where we can have some scientists, some researchers as well coming, emerging, and provide them with the means so that they can carry out applied research.
Yeah.
Just like in the sector of industry, manufacturing sector today, we lack some technologies. We lack some tools, and what I've seen is just like the university teachers are carrying on some research, but these are not applied through the on business day. So how do we come together? How do we put together universities and businesses, and how maybe the private sector can just provide for means so that university teachers can provide or can carry on research so that these can be implemented into some innovations. And so this is university researching, university teaching, and making the link between universities and the businesses so that these can prepare some development and innovative.
So Mr. Owouko, you just talk about business.
Exactly.
Mr. Owouko just talk about business, and before we continue our program, we have a report for you. This report is about key economists talking about the caliber of businessmen we need for Togo as well as Africa's future development. What do we need for African future development? The coming report brings us economists and thinkers air their views about the future entrepreneurs they feel Africa need to advance within the current century. Let's have the report. Of different crises. These are some of the attributes of the African continent in this our 21st century. These realities has slowed down the process of development undertaken by leaders and nations of Africa, a continent lagging behind and marginalized in important economic and political decision making. Despite its considerable reserve of natural resources, Africa has not succeeded in valuing its economic and human potentialities in order to position itself on the world scene. Different initiatives and actions in favor of unity and the promotion of activities bound to spark up the economy and social welfare of inhabitants of this continent remain paper tigers. They need them for an African renaissance based on regional integration.
Renaissance means, from the conclusions that we are drawing, departing from the old mentality of Africa being a slavery part of the world, Africa being a dominated part of the world, but and Africa taking in his hands his own destiny.
From some prominent Pan-Africanists' point of view, a regional integration is needed, an integration to be considered from all angles,
covering all sectors from our homes to our businesses and to our administrations, applying the concepts into our daily life.
Africa can only advance through integration. We have 53 or perhaps 54 states, and most of them are too small or too weak to travel on their own in terms of sustainable development in a competitive global marketplace. So Africa must unite. This is what Kwame Nkrumah said. It's 50 years later, and Africa must unite. So integration is of extreme importance. And of course, in order to integrate, you have to have the free movement of goods and services. It's a negative to have visas and different passports for different African countries.
As a leader from Africa who has grown several successful businesses outside of Africa, as a prominent member of the diaspora, it's really important to inspire the new generation and to let them know that it's impossible to think small, that it's really possible, however, to think big and to imagine big projects that can have a Pan-African impact. So as I work on a new project with MIT that's focused on African entrepreneurs, I encourage all the young Africans that come to me for advice and for guidance to think big and to not ever let go of their dreams.
For an efficient integration for sustainable development of Africa, lawmakers, businessmen, and the civil society are called upon to be together. The free movement of goods, services, and people within the various borders and the role of the private sector in the process of integration is equally very important. Hence the question, which caliber of businessmen do we need for the future development of Africa?
One of the main requirements of our generation, I'm talking about new entrepreneurs, is that we should have vision. It's not just about business, it's not just about money, but it's very important for us to be Pan-Africanist. I mean, we need to have general knowledge about the history of our continent. And if we know where we come from, there's no doubt that we know where we want to go. So I would really strongly encourage all entrepreneurs to have leadership skills, but also to know the history of Africa. It's very important. Secondly, they must have a sense of social responsibility. I've heard here many people complaining about France, about UK. But please, 50 years after independence, we can't continue saying that our challenges in Africa is just France. I think this is the responsibility of a whole generation. But also we need to build a strong network of citizens, of civil society. I mean, when we're in business, don't just like look for money only. It's very important also to be engaged. What I would call true active citizen, true African citizen. So it's not just about business. For instance, I'm in this conference, I will spend 4 days. I will lose a lot of money, true story. But I came because I strongly believe that I have a responsibility to do something for the generation after me. So my question to the entrepreneur listening to me, what have you done apart of having money? What have you done to make that Africa is better?
I think we have a lot of young entrepreneurs who have to be encouraged. Because you see, we have companies like ASCAI. We have been witnesses air frequent of. Now ASCAI is here. We have to invest in the African companies. Instead of putting our monies in European banks, in American banks, all over, we have to invest in young companies. You know, companies that are owned or managed or developed by Africans. We have to invest in these companies. If we do not invest, then there will be no future for development in Africa.
Generally, for Africa to make a giant step into continental integration, a new realistic approach taking into account African populations should be adopted. Populations who are first on the list for the dynamic sub-regional and continental integration, hence the concept of ownership or appropriation of inventions or ideas.
Well, Mr. Owouko, you are still in studio. You just watched the running commentary. People talk about leadership skills, positioning Africa, regional integration, inspiring the new generation of entrepreneurs in order to really have a future Africa well developed. What are some of your views about this?
Thanks a lot, Mr. Hukporti. From my perspective, I can see that we have different leaders in Africa, and we have many entrepreneurs as well. But what we lack in Africa is a very efficient banking system that can support some projects. And for a solid banking system to be around to support those projects entrepreneurs carry out, you need also to have an efficient rule of law. You have to enforce contract law. When you sign a contract, it's a contract.
Yeah.
You won't go to the tribunal tomorrow to say, yeah, I forgot to sign it, but I wasn't there to sign. The rule of law has to be enforced. The law of ownership.
Ownership, yes.
Yeah. I bought this. It belongs to me. It is mine.
Yeah.
So without an adequate rule of law, without an adequate and efficient banking system, our entrepreneurs will not be able to carry out those projects. And from a high level, we now talk about private-public partnership.
Yes.
So those exactly triple PPP.
Yes.
The government has to find out a way to support some entrepreneurs to some level. They've started already, but they will now need to make it bigger. Within an environment where we talk about globalization, our countries are open around the world.
Yeah.
We can supply any kind of goods from here to the world, and we can buy anything from the world, from China to this country as well. So that we have to think big to see how can we develop those small projects and make them very big projects. But first, in Africa, what we have plenty of lands, so we have to develop agriculture. Agriculture is the first step. So when you have a flourishing agriculture, you can now start manufacturing some other products from those products you get from agricultural efforts. It's just like when you have palm trees,
Yes.
you have different kinds of oil. You can make soap. In this country, we do not make any soap. It comes off from China.
You can even make broom.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
brooms.
So we have the land, but we do not develop it. We need to put up our efforts to support any project that is coming through that agricultural step, and I think this is the first step.
Yes. So, Mr. Owouko, I'm very glad to have you in studio today. Thanks so much. Do you have a last word for?
The pleasure is all mine. Maybe I will be glad to come again to talk about something else.
I'll be very happy.
Yeah, thanks
I'll
a
be very
lot.
happy.
Thanks a lot.
Well, viewers, here comes the end of our program today. We thank very much Mr. Owouko for clarifications brought about on aviation. What is aviation? How can we help the future development of Africa, our dear continent? Well, this is the end of the program. Have a nice weekend.